Hello there and welcome back to another review. Today we're going to be looking at one of the Dragon Ball movies. This is actually the first film in the Dragon Ball Z franchise. I think it's the fourth Dragon Ball film overall. I've got my Dragon Ball Z sort of movie box set here, and I will hopefully be trying to get through all the movies of Dragon Ball, but we'll start with the first one. This probably will be a very short review because the film is only 40 minutes long. It's largely considered to be filler. It's not a lot of people consider this sort of canon as such. But I say it's a really short movie, and hopefully I will try and get through all of them, but we'll just be looking at Dragon Ball Z Dead Zone today. As mentioned, this is the fourth Dragon Ball film overall, I believe, and it's the first one that was released under the Dragon Ball Z moniker. Released in 1989, it's largely, as I said, mentioned, to be considered filler. It did not appear in the original manga by Akira Toriyama. And in many ways, it just sort of acts as a prelude to the TV series. It just sort of acts like a little something that happened before the sort of series happened. And in many ways, it's just sort of an extended episode. It's not really, by and large, you couldn't really consider it a movie in terms of sort of length and sort of necessarily what happens, but it is considered a Dragon Ball Z movie. So this is going to be, I'd say it's going to be probably a very quick, short review. It's not a long film. In many ways, it's, like mentioned, it's just a quick little thing that happens before the TV series starts. So the film opens with Piccolo following his defeat by Goku and his attack by Garlic Jr. With his henchmen Sancho, Ginger and Nikki. Then they go and attack Chi-Chi as well, and they kidnap Gohan, who obviously has the Dragon Ball in his hat. They're after the Dragon Balls, as all villains are in Dragon Ball universe. Sensing they're in trouble, Goku, whilst out fishing and coming back with a huge big fish, comes back to their rescue. They're after the 7 Dragon Balls, as Garlic Jr. wants immortality. Garlic Jr. has a good feeling about Gohan and decides to sort of keep him around rather than sort of kill him. So they've kidnapped Gohan rather than... He's got a good vibe about Gohan. He thinks, okay, that kid might have some potential. So Garlic Jr. is like sort of, yeah, I'll keep him around. He's got some, this kid, I sense something here with him. There's something going on. So he keeps him around. He wants him to be sort of his disciple because he can sort of sense how strong Gohan is going to be. So that's all that's sort of happened so far. Garlic Jr. sort of attacked Piccolo, kidnapped Gohan. Goku's like senses, something's wrong, finds out Gohan's been kidnapped. So it's really sort of simple stuff. It's very much... you don't need to know a lot about Dragon Ball Z. You don't need to necessarily know a lot about the characters or the mythos or... stories of Dragon Ball Z. You can pretty much go into this sort of open-minded, even if you have no idea. Because I'm not the biggest, humongous Dragon Ball Z fan in the world, but I like many people sort of around my age, we all had our time with Dragon Ball Z, and I still do enjoy Dragon Ball Z. I just wasn't necessarily sort of as hardcore as into it as what some people are. That isn't not to say though I don't love and enjoy Dragon Ball Z. I'm just not what I would call like a super massive fan of it, but I know enough about it to sort of gauge opinions and thoughts on sort of movies and the TV shows and games and anything sort of relating to it. So Garlic Jr. keeps Gohan around, and at one point Gohan eats like one of these apple that sort of makes him all drunk and sort of all squiffy, which he was told not to do. And the whole film, like at this point, it becomes like sort of trippy, much like the scene. I don't know if you remember sort of the scene in Dumbo where Dumbo gets drunk. This one just has like there's this big blue dinosaur and loads of weird creatures and animals happening at one point. It's a really trippy scene where Gohan eats this apple. So for some reason, there as well. If you watch this scene as well, for some reason this makes Garlic Jr. think even more about how special this kid is. For some he says, like, I can't remember what he says exactly, but at one point like Gohan's all drunk and just sort of tripping out and just spacing out and everything, seeing all these weird things, and Garlic Jr.'s like, yeah, that kid's definitely got potential. But yeah, anyway, so basically he gets together all the Dragon Balls and summons Shenlong, and he makes his wish. Goku finds them with the aid of the Dragon Radar. Usual stuff, what you would expect in like I say, any Dragon Ball Z episode. And it's quite dark in certain places, this movie, where you see like these devils and these demons with sort of Garlic Jr. imagining what the future will be like, and like how he will have all these armies and like sort of take over. There is a scene where it is quite dark, you know. I mean, Dragon Ball like Z as a whole, I mean, it's not for the very young. I wouldn't say you can put like some like really young kid in front of Dragon Ball Z, but because some of the images, there's a few images in this film that are a bit sort of on the darker side. Garlic Jr. wants to avenge his father's death. Kami arrives and explains that he competed with Garlic Jr.'s father for the position of Guardian of Earth, and then he tried to take it away by force, to which he sort of got banished and locked away, sort of General Zod style from Superman. That's sort of basically what happened to Garlic Jr.'s dad. So yeah, Kami's like sort of like, I fell out with your father, he wanted my position, then he tried to take it, then we sort of banished him to sort of the Dead Zone or Nether Realm or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, he sort of like got banished and locked away, General Zod style. So Goku has a fight with the three henchmen who like sort of all grow bigger in size, while at the same time also looking for Gohan. Then Krillin and Piccolo turn up, just magically turn up, which Krillin is, you know, welcomed by Gohan urinating on his head in typical, you know, Japanese anime Dragon Ball Z fashion. Yeah, Krillin gets like urinated on by Gohan, which is, you know, whatever. So Krillin tasked with the babysitter role and just getting Gohan out of there, because obviously Goku's the one that's got to kick their ass basically. Gohan and Piccolo take on the henchmen, and Kami and Garlic Jr. have like a bout, to which Kami is no match at all. Goku and Piccolo put their differences aside, you know, their take their weight clothes off in order to defeat Garlic, thinking they have won and the fight is over. They begin to settle their differences. So they sort of think the fight's over, everything's okay. They think, right, let's settle this now, because obviously Piccolo's sort of still reeling from his defeat. Garlic Jr. then comes back and opens up a portal or a vortex into, you know, the Dead Zone. And it's basically like another dimension is what it is, and like a void. And the whole place is crumbling around them. And Goku even grabbing Piccolo at one point to stop him going in. I mean, it's just like I say, I've said about 2 or 3 times, but it is just simple. You don't really, it is mainly just filler. There's not really a lot to say about this movie, and I'm mainly just sitting here talking you through the plot. You might as well just go and watch the film anyway. So just like I say, he stops Piccolo from flying in. When he comes to, you know, Gohan, it turns out like Gohan was the one that sort of like he emerges, unleashes like his immense power, which sends Garlic flying into the Dead Zone. And when he comes to, he has no idea of what he's done or his strength, because obviously Gohan, being as strong as he is, he comes to, he thinks it's Goku that saved the day, and he just thinks, okay, my dad saved us, we're all good and all that, and he has no idea sort of his true fighting potential and his power. Garlic Jr., he goes in there because obviously he granted his wish, Garlic Jr., but now he goes into the Dead Zone, into this sort of never like this void where he's sort of in limbo. So he will live forever, like immortal, but he will be in that Dead Zone for like the remainder. Goku keeps what Gohan did to himself. You know, from Chi-Chi he thinks Chi-Chi may not be ready to hear about this. Like he thinks, you know, she probably won't believe me anyway, and ends with the course, you know, with Piccolo vowing to take on Goku. Excuse me. We'll try and review all the Dragon Ball Z movies, but like with all things, I thought I'd start at number 1. There's no point, if there's a whole series of movies, I don't want to sit here and review film 4 or, you know, film 10. I might as well just go through them in order, and just, but you know, go through them one by one. But I will try and get through all the Dragon Ball Z movies up to even the most recent ones. But yeah, the Dead Zone, there's really not a lot to say about it. It's mainly just a bit longer of an episode. That's all it is. Nothing too amazing, but at the same time nothing too crappy either. It times in at around 41 minutes, so you may be, even like I mentioned earlier, can't class it as a movie. But if you've seen the Dead Zone, let me know if it's one of your, you know, if it's a favourite Dragon Ball Z movie of yours. I know Garlic Jr., you know, they did follow it up later in the series with Garlic Jr., you know, that what happens, but You don't really need to necessarily watch this movie. It's just something that's there that they created, just a bit of fun. There's just an extra added thing to Dragon Ball Z, but it's not considered canon by any means. I think it, as mentioned, it's just largely considered filler. So yeah, very short review. If you've seen Dead Zone, let me know. I hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you soon.